on, people? It's Mr. Dore back again with the review show from Southampton being Nottingham Forest. I hope everyone's all good. As you know, Forest heads tomorrow to head to Southampton. It's back a second time I'm going there. I'm excited. Can Forest get another win down there? I went there 2 years ago, and Forest beating 1-0. It was Tower 1-0. I think it was Tower 1-0. If you want to see the vlog, go and watch it. The link's in the description afterwards. But yeah, we'll talk about the game. We'll talk about a few transfers as well. And we've got the man himself, Mr. Do Daily, Des Oldham. How you doing, Des?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to match day 2. And all that brings. We've just been chatting off here, haven't we, about how we're getting down and things like that. So Saturday again, isn't it? First real away day. Although we went to Chesterfield, this is a proper one. So yeah, really excited and chance of 3 points maybe.
Yeah, so and before we do start, I'll keep repeating, Des is doing his coast-to-coast run as well. So, Des, before we do, let's talk about your coast run again so people can donate.
Yeah, so in October, the day Forest had to play Chelsea away, I'm starting 7 marathons in 7 days, running 192 miles from the west coast to the east coast, across the Lake District, Yorkshire Dales and the North York Moors, and finishing in Robin Hood's Bay. Although I do a lot of running, as most people who probably watch this know, because we always talk about it, that's right out my comfort zone. Really, really big challenge, ridiculous challenge, and put a lot of training in. Been injured, back on it now. Just got back from the gym actually. So if anyone can get behind that, Dore share the link. I'm sure if anyone can get behind that, I'd really, really appreciate it. Lots of Forest fans have. You might have seen a couple of months ago, I went to Sheffield United from the City Ground.
I seen Des was huffing and puffing. I see that. I've never seen him huffing and puffing so much. But
great training.
I have put the link in at the top, people. So please do. Like Des, I've just seen Des has raised 3,100 as well. So it's good. That's how people keep. If you can, please.
I didn't say who it's for. It's for Footprints, a great charity which helps children with special needs. Amazing stuff. Myself and my wife went along when I didn't know who to raise for, and kind of blew me off my feet. And a lot of Forest fans will know other people who raise for them as well. So if anyone can get behind that, it's an amazing cause.
So like I said, people, make sure everyone donates. The link's at the top, right at the top of the comments. So click on it, and it could be £1, 50p, whatever. Please tell Des, because like I said, I know he does loads of running as well, and I can't do it. I puff after 30 seconds. So Des, don't rub it in, don't laugh. So yeah, people, please help out as well. I put a poll as well on who's going to win against who's going to win tomorrow. Forest, Southampton, or draw. Please help me out as well. And like, please hit the like button and get your score predictions in the comments as well and get involved. Des, let's talk about the game. 1-1 out of the weekend against Bournemouth. We go to Southampton, as we always go. How are you feeling about this game, and are you confident?
Do you know what? If we'd have beat Bournemouth, and I don't want to sort of start on a negative note, but if we'd have beat Bournemouth, I'd have gone into this game and I'd have been really, really on a high that we can put back-to-back wins together. Something we have done very rarely in the Premier League. That would have been huge. But now I feel we've got a chance. I feel we've got a real chance. The teams that are coming up, I feel we're just a level above. And I've said many times on this show that I think we'll finish 17th because of the teams that have come up. It's going to be another hard season for us. We know that. We're still not quite cracked it out of possession. I'm sure we'll come to the tactical stuff later. But going to Southampton gives us a chance to really kick on. And I did say a few weeks ago, we were chatting around when we were walking back from the Chesterfield game, it was never going to be 3 wins out of 3 in these first few games. People who thought that are a little bit deluded. Forest don't win 3 on the spin. They don't win 2 on the spin, as I've just said.
When's the last time we had that? When's the last time we had back-to-back wins? When's the last time we had back-to-back wins? Was it last season? Man U Newcastle, wasn't it?
Yeah. probably.
Yeah, Newcastle Man U. Yeah, we have done it. Just don't believe what they say.
And we have done it, yeah, but it's very rare, and that's what I'm saying. So anyone who thought we were going to get 9 points, I actually said back then, if we got 5 points out the first 3, we'll probably be sitting somewhere around mid-table anyway. Just the way things start. Some teams start poorly, some teams start well, and that's not because you can out the first 3. Obviously, you can only get 9, and 5 is more than half. So yes, we'd have liked to beat Bournemouth. I felt that was a really winnable game. But now against Southampton, I think, I never ever accept a point against anyone. But even a point, some people will start moaning and getting upset about that. But it wouldn't be the worst result if we can come back next week and win at home against Wolves. So I think 5 points out the first 3, going off what I said before, we all get carried away when the season starts. Wouldn't be a bad return if we get the 3 tomorrow. That'd feel like a real positive on top of last week's point, and then a chance of beating Wolves obviously next week turns into a really good start. So yeah, we've definitely got a chance. I'm a little bit intrigued by Southampton. I was a bit. I've probably been a bit unduly skeptical of how they'll do, but I heard something this week which made me think I need to do a bit more research on them. You know me, I like talking and seeing football. I'm always moaning about people talking about transfers and this and that.
Moan.
Although I do,
people. We always moan all the time.
But it's all about the football for me, and I've probably made a few comments that are a bit unjust on them because I heard this week they've spent 87 million. Which has gone a little bit under the radar. When we came up and spent a lot of money,
we got moaned at.
Everybody was bemoaning what we'd done, but they've spent 87 million, and that's obviously going to change their team dramatically. By all accounts, they played well, even though obviously it was 10 men against Newcastle, and the game's always different, to some degree. But they played well, and I think I'll be interested to see how they get on, because I do think the 3 that come up, and I know it's really hard for the 3 that come up to go down, although it happened last season, and for it to happen again. But I just think that gap's getting bigger. So based on the fact that I think they're a worse team than when they got relegated, I think we've got a real chance of getting something out of this game, because I think we're a cut above. But it'd be interesting to see how they fare against Forest, because of course we're all those teams in a bracket. Those teams down there who Southampton are going to be looking at this game and thinking we need to win this one if we've got any chance of staying in the Premier League. And let's not get upset by that. A lot of Forest fans get upset when people target us or say we're going to finish in the bottom. Of course they are. We've finished 17th twice. You can't just. You potentially could beat the team down there and a few others, but you're going to be targeting the teams in 17th. Like, you're going to be targeting the teams all the way up to 13th, 12th, to get points from. So they'll be out to get us a little bit. I do think it's a real chance for us. I do think when we've got our experienced players on the pitch, and obviously we have got most players have got 2 seasons, if not a bit more now, when you get the likes of Hudson and Dore and Alanga and Bolly and all these players. Yates has got two seasons of Premier League football. When we've got our experience on the pitch, if they have got a new side and they are playing a lot of new signings, then we know how long that takes some time to gel. What I do fear a little bit is it's like the West Ham game when we come back. Not quite the same, because they've only had 1 season out of the Premier League. They've only they've been there and been about it, but it's that first game at home, isn't it? They're going to be up for it. The crowd's going to be up for it. You'd think, although it's not the most intimidating place to go, as we found out last time.
Yeah.
But they do a good light show. I remember that.
Oh yeah, people are that was mad. Oh, what the hell is this?
But yeah, I think we've got a real chance, and I think we've got to take all those positives, because I came out of that game really positive. When a lot of people were bemoaning how we played, I thought when we had the possession, and again against Southampton, I'd expect us to have a lot more possession. It's not necessarily Nuno's way of playing, though, is it? Nuno likes to counter attack. He never ever really like last week. if we'd have gone for the throw, I felt we would have beat them. Do you know, if we'd have got Hudson and Dore and Elanga and Gibbs White ticking, but it don't happen at 1-0. We are better set up to play away from home, I believe. Do you know, I think because we are just that counter-attacking team. Nuno will quite happily sit back, and then bang. We saw it. Newcastle was the best example where we've seen it. Do you know, where we don't dominate possession, and all of a sudden we go bang, 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 and when it works, it works. That day, Elanga was on song first half, you know, and set Wood up, and then set another one up for Wood as well. So I just think we've got a real opportunity here to dominate the ball. You know, the more we do that against teams who we can do it against, because we're not going to be able to do it very often. That counter-attacking set up is always going to be there, and it's one of my frustrations with Nuno, because I always feel, especially as against teams like this or at home against Bournemouth, we should be going for the juggler a little bit. We're Nottingham Forest, you know. I'm not being arrogant. I feel we're a big club still, you know. And now we're establishing ourselves. To really establish yourself, you're going to have to start dominating the football, and I think tomorrow gives us that opportunity, and if we do, I think we can come out with a really positive result.
100%. I was going to go through the chat and say, Alan, how you doing, my friend? James, evening, Ben and Des. I hope you are, my friend. I hope you're well, James, my friend. This guy, I don't know who the hell he is. Dave Asprey, the legend. See you tomorrow, Dave. Russ Martin teams like to play a lot of position, but it can be a bit back, open at the back. Remember that day, Swansea, when we won 4-1? We only had two possessions. Yes, what a day, Des. Dave, what a day. Yeah, I think first half, Swansea battered us. I remember. Actually, it battered us with ball possession. Then Ziganel, second half, got an early goal. So, yeah, I think he is. Well, is it just Swansea? Well, another team, Dave, before that as well. Russell Morris. I don't know what team it was, but yeah, he likes lots of possession. And I think he had that as well last season for Southampton. Loads of possession as well. They went on that unbeaten streak, if I remember. But yeah, shout out to Dave. Get to sleep, Dave.
Dave's spot on with that. And that was a point I was going to make later about their possession. But they also, Russell Martin's teams have always played in the Championship as well. So I think, again, this is where we've got to seize the initiative and perhaps drag the ball back off them, you know, because if you let them have the ball, they will have the ball, because that's the way they play. We've got to play like a Premier League team against them. All we've seen from Russell Martin really is those teams in the Championship, where sometimes you can, especially coming out of the Premier League, and the way Swansea have always been notoriously, it was set up for Russell Martin. I feel he's got to prove that this Southampton team can do that in this league.
100%. Another one from Gary. If they play a high line, then hopefully our pace will front kill them. I think I spoke about that as well. High line with the players like Elanga, Gibbs White, Hudson Odoi. If we get them on song.
Just on that point from Gary Dore, it's worth making points on these guys. Is that's what Forest will want. Because that's Nuno all over, isn't it? Yeah. He wants them to play a really high line, because then it's bang, wingers, bang. And hopefully they do, like Gary says.
100%. I'm going to look for messages, and this is from Mark. Evening, all. I'm optimistic about tomorrow. Our play style will suit us against Southampton. Like I said, what Des said, it will suit if they play that same situation. Alan says, what do you think about Southampton's biggest strength? I think we'll speak about that later on, Alan. But shout out to Alan. Alan, remember, I did tag you on that top. I want my top, don't forget. I want my top. But shout out to Alan. Mark says, we scored 9 goals against Swansea last season we did, and that's I think why Des keeps talking. Their style will suit us. If they play the way they did in the last 2 games under him, I think we'll win. But like I said, the Premier League is hard. I think, was it 1-0 they lost to Newcastle? So listen, it's not going to be easy. We can all say that. Listen, that and over. It's not going to be easy at all. Like I said, I'll take a draw. Southampton will be a tough side. Yeah, 100%. They are a tough side, and time will tell. People, I've done a poll as well. If you completely get involved, who's going to win tomorrow? Forest, Saints, or draw? So far, 55 says Forest, 44 says a draw, and Saints percent. So in the comments, people, what do you think the score will be? I'll get their score prediction at the end of streams, but in the show, please get your score prediction now. The top is coming with Dore 50 on about right. Cheeky son, Alan. Cheeky son. Let's talk about, as you know, Danilo is out 68 weeks. People in the chat as well, get involved. Who would you play in that number 8 role, Des? Because Ryan Yates did come on, and I thought, okay, I want Dominguez to come on because like for like, but Ryan Yates come on. He should have scored them 2 goals, if I do remember. But would you start Yates or Dominguez or Anderson? Let me throw out there. Who would you start? And people in the chat, who would you start in that number 8 role alongside Sangare?
Before you threw the names at me, two thoughts popped straight into my head. And again, I don't want to sit on the fence, and I'll tell you what I actually believe. But because we might not have lots of the football because of all the possession we spoke about, the key in all this might be Ryan Yates. Somebody to rat around, go and get the ball. I always call him the retriever. You know, a lot of running off the ball, and we're going to have to play that type of game where we dig in. I think Southampton's midfield will probably be better than Bournemouth's midfield. You know, because without seeing them, we know the amount of possession they have. So you'd imagine they've got some tidy footballers in there. To play how I'd like us to play, I'd probably go with Anderson. Do you know, someone who's going to get the ball and run at them a little bit, pen them back. Do you know, somebody who's going to sort of really sort of drive the game forward and be that quicker link between Sangare and the back 4, back 5, whatever it turns out to be, and Morgan Gibbs-White, because I know I talk about Morgan Gibbs-White a lot, but he is absolutely key, and we've got to get him further up the field. Lots more talk this week about what he is and who he is, but for Forest to really tick, you've got to get him breaking into the box. You know, I was thinking back, I heard a bit of reminiscing about the Sheffield United game, you know, earlier in the week, and it made me think about Morgan Gibbs-White and how he always broke into the box for them. That's what made him really dangerous against us in particular. And I'd love to see Anderson almost be that. And this 8 role, I think, is crucial to Gibbs-White doing that. It's getting that ball maybe from Sangare in the back 4 and driving forward. And that's where it's going to be a horse for a course. And the way the game pans out, I'd imagine, based on a good performance last week, he'd go with Ryan Yates, probably because we won't. They'll look to dominate the football, and we're probably going to have to do a lot of running around and retrieving in there. What I'd like to see, just to put us a little bit more on the front foot and start dominating our authority, or if Nuno believes we're good enough to take the game to them, I'd like to see Anderson fill that role, because I'd like to see him in the team, because he looks a really solid Premier League player without bags and bags full of Premier League experience, because he's still relatively young. You know, he seems to be a tricky customer, and a lot of people was upset with him being put out on the wing. You know, I thought when he played for Newcastle against us and he played out there, he did a lot of damage. You know, he had a really good game. So I think he's a good player, and I'd like to see him playing in the team, because you sign these players, you know, I feel they've got to sort of come on and do a job and come into the setup. So for me, number 8 would be Anderson, but I'd imagine, and I've got no problems if it is, you know, because I spoke a few times already since last week well Yates played. I just think to move that ball when we have got it, you know, I think Anderson is probably my first choice.
Alfred, man, everyone knows I'm a Yates fan. Well, as you know, I think Southampton will have more of the ball. So I don't know. I'm still going with Dominguez, if I'm honest. But you know, Nuno might put him right wing. I hope not, but it is what it is. Gary,
just on Dominguez, Dore, because I didn't say anything about him. Again, I think he's a real good player, but I think he's a bit more of he's a bit more than a number 8 at times, isn't he? Do you know, you need him right at top of the press. Do you know, really right up there, sort of I remember a couple of games, you know, towards the back end of last season where him and
Villa.
Yates were pushing on, you know,
Yeah.
really pushing on, almost like sort of false tens, you know,
Yeah.
if that's even a thing, you know, and he has to be right up there. So because what I think will happen is they'll play Sangare and Yates like almost next to each other, and then Gibbs White. I think if the only way Dominguez gets in my mind is if you play Sangare as a 6 and then 2 in front. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where I'd play him, because then he's pressing really high up the pitch. I think when it comes back towards the halfway line, he becomes less effective.
100%. I'm going to go through the comments. Gary said Yates played well, but Anton and Sagai for me. Marcus Dominguez because he's good in the press. For Mark, evening lads. Looking forward to seeing you at the game tomorrow. Mark, did you get your lift? Oh yeah, you're on the pensioners, aren't you? Shout out to Tony O'Dowd, the Spider, and all that. People, please do hit the like button if you can. Subscribe if you're new, and make sure everyone donates to Des. And if you do it, if anyone wants to do any super chats towards my channel, please do. Let me get your score prediction, Des, before we talk over Forest topics. People in the chat as well, get involved. What is your score prediction for tomorrow's game? So, Des, are you confident about tomorrow?
Do you know what? As the week goes on, I'm getting more confident. You know, I've got get the last few minutes of Bournemouth out my system a little bit, and and the frustrations from that. Although, like I say, I spoke to 1 or 2 people immediately after the game who were really frustrated, and normally that's me.
Yeah, always.
But so yeah, as the week's gone on, I'm starting to think we're actually good enough to win this game of football. We've got, of course, Danilo's out, and I like Danilo's busyness, and I like the shape of the team and what was happening last week. I think if Sangare does his job, Danilo would have been a real asset this year. You know, obviously that's a big if, but and I'm still worried about Sangare. But
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised you're not slagging him off for a change. You're not still one word about him.
Well, no, because he did okay. But I said the problem he had last week was the problem Forest had. You know, everybody is out of possession. You know, we just didn't look like we could compete with a very average Bournemouth side. I'm hoping against a team coming up, we can seize a bit of the initiative and really, I think we can compete in the likely players that are going to play. And as the week goes on, I think, especially if we get the first goal, you know, we always find it hard if we go 1 behind. I think we're probably going to have to withstand some early pressure, and I think we can nick it in the end. And if you're talking score prediction, I think the most likely, if Forest win, is going to be 1-0.
Yeah, like last time, Tower 1-0, Brendan Johnson assist. One question, Des, before we change topic. Brent Brereton Diaz, he's always going to be a threat for us. People in the chat, are you scared of Ben Brereton Diaz because he did score against Sheffield United? Are you afraid of him? Ex-Forest player, if you don't know who he is, Ben Brereton Diaz. But yeah,
I think though, you know, I'm not as worried about him as I am Alan Armstrong, and this is someone I would like to talk about a little bit. You know, Alan Armstrong's a funny player because he seems to score bag full of goals. He's a bit like Mitrovic, isn't he?
Yeah.
He scored bag full of goals in the Championship until Mitrovic found his feet. You know, because eventually Mitrovic in a good Fulham side, as Alan will know who's watching, really did find his feet. But for a few years, it was score 40 goals in the Championship, score 4 in the Premier League. But Armstrong is a bit like that player. You know, I like him. I like him a lot. He's that really busy, and I think Forest struggle against players like that. You know, really busy players. I think Brereton Diaz makes it a bit easier for Bolly and Murillo if he plays, because he's very direct and he's up for the fight, you know, and they'll get involved, and and eventually he loses his head, and his head's not in the game, is it? You know, so I think that's what we've seen from him many times. We've seen it against Sheffield United last season. So he doesn't scare me. That doesn't mean he's not going to have a really good game, because he's got the tools, hasn't he? Do you know? And again, if you look at Southampton and you look at those two up front, you know, there's potentially goals there, isn't there? Diaz on their day, either of them can do a lot of damage. So that makes it tough. But we're going to have to defend really well. We're going to have to concentrate at times. You know, we're probably going to have to do a lot of work off the ball and be better off the ball. But no, Brayton Diaz doesn't frighten me. But I do realise there's.
I like him, Des. I like him.
Do you know what? I wouldn't.
As a player, not what the antics actually does. I rate him. I wish he was at Forest. Sorry, Forest fans.
I don't necessarily wish he was at Forest, but I don't think there's a bad footballer in there. Do you know, there's a lot of hate for him from Forest fans. You know, I don't really get it. You know, he's that nasty player who plays for someone else when he's in your team and he's doing it. You love him to bits.
You know what it is? I think if you remember, when he came into Forest, I knew he was going to be a good player, because I remember he was doing so well for the reserve team. I think it was that time. And he's scoring bad goals, and he came at Forest at the wrong time, because that time we was playing shocking. I don't know, made his debut against Birmingham, and he came at the wrong time.
Do you know, I seem to remember a game against Sheffield Wednesday, and I might be wrong in this. I seem to recall he played a game, and it was Sheffield Wednesday thing, and I think we might have won, and I think he might have scored. And he was 17, and he played against two of the biggest centre-backs you have ever seen in your life. And he went round with all that attitude we've just been talking about, which we don't like as an opposition player. And he was 17, and I thought, that guy's going to make it in the Premier League. And I remember I used to know a Forest coach who came to the running group, and we used to talk on a Sunday morning after the games, and he said he's not going to make it. And I thought, do you know what? I think he is going to. He's obviously not gone on and like set the world on fire in terms of what he's done when it comes to the Premier League, but he's had a good, solid career, do you know, and it's his game, isn't it? Do you know, he's one of them players. Why I wouldn't have minded him at Forest if Chris Wood gets injured and Tyler, like, there's possibility of these two being injured at the same time, because, you know, they're always injured at some point. He's the type of player you for a team in our position that you'd kind of throw in there, isn't he? Do you know, we spent a lot of time looking at Che Adams, didn't we? And again, I wouldn't have been completely adverse to that. Where did he go in the end, anyway?
Who, Che Adams?
Yeah, did he go?
He went to no, he's gone to his Italian team.
Oh, that was it. Yeah,
he went to. I don't know. He's gone to Italian, but I don't know what. In the chat, where's he gone? He's definitely gone to an Italian club, but I just don't know where.
But that's Diaz. Brayton is his name, isn't it? That's Brayton.
Ben Brereton, that's his name.
That's what he is, and he just goes around upsetting defences. I think we've got the tools to deal with him, so I'm not scared of him. I think at other times we haven't had the tools. That's
it. It's gone Torino. That's where it's gone. That's where it's gone. As well, yeah. Michael.
It's a good move for him, isn't it? When he was linked with Wolves.
Shout out to Michael. Hope you all as well. I know, Torino. I don't know where he went, but yeah. Thank you everyone for the chat. Des, what was your score prediction? People in the chat, what was your score? What was it, Des?
1-0.
1-0 Forest. Scorer,
the most likely one, you know, Chris Wood. I just think I've been picturing it all week. I don't know why. I've made him captain in my fantasy team based on the fact we've got 2 fixtures this week, you know, as opposed to other teams. And I think Chris Wood is going to score tomorrow, and he's going to score on Wednesday against Newcastle, because that's what it's all about.
He's going to score a hat trick. He's going to score a hat trick against Newcastle. That's a different show. That's a different show. People, please do hit the like button and subscribe if you know. If you're, and like I said, me and Des are going. I'm doing the usual vlog content creator. So if you want to get on my vlog, make sure you get a score prediction as well. One more for Gary. 2-1 to Forest. I hope Gary. Michael says 1-1. Morgan's whack score. Would you take a draw, Des?
Yeah, I don't think so. I won't be overly keen because that puts a lot of pressure on the game next week. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's the worst result in the world. We're Forest. We don't go and win and go and win away very often, do we?
No.
Let's be realistic. And I
Let's
think
be realistic. We don't want to go it's 1-1. We should have won, but I don't want everyone going. It's Southampton. They've only gone up. I remember shout out to Dave said, "Listen, we've got to calm down. We're not going to go in there and beat every bloody team away, are we?" So, yes, so's Dave. I threw on the bus under Dave Asprey, but yeah.
I tell you what, if we draw every game 1-1 this season, we'll stop up.
I just want to stay up. That's all it matters. Another score prediction from Clark. 1-1, take the point and move on. Mark says 1-0 to Forest. Can't also go to score. All right, let's move on from here. And the other project topics that we're going to talk about, and we get Des' opinion. Let's talk about Joe Worrell. He's left Nottingham Forest, and for me, and what a captain and what a player. I'm always a fan of players from the academy. He's had his ups and he's had his downs. He got Forest promoted as a club captain. And I think, me personally, for the last 23 years, he's been one of the best captains we've had in the last 23 years. We've had Paul McKenna. Who else has been captain for Forest? Dawson, Des Walker, a lot. But Joe Worrell, for me, was a fantastic captain for Forest. And I hope he does fantastic work for Burnley. I think Burnley will go up, if I'm honest, because they've got a good side. But people in the chat as well, what's your best memories for Joe Worrell? If you can, make it his opinion on Joe Worrell. What's your opinion on now he's left Nottingham Forest?
I think the best compliment I can pay him, though, and I shared a picture it was actually from the botanist.
Yeah, you lucky guy. I never. You know what? I met him once at the for Forest Rec. And he did show it. He went, "Shout you out, DoreOntour," and all that.
That botanist picture was after the celebrations in Market Square, and there was all in, and I was lucky enough to sort of bump into him. And that day, Joe Lolly let me touch his medal. But back to the point. Yeah, so I put a picture on, and I put underneath it on Instagram. I put, he was Forest when Forest mattered, and that's not a dig at anyone these days, but he had to go through the crap to get where he did, and what an ambassador for the football club. Joe's a lad, we all know that. He's outspoken, and
remember that interview Des he did? It was after the Wolves game. We lost 2-0, and he was out. He was an outspoken guy, and I miss that. Do you miss that, Des? Like, people in the chat, do you miss that?
Absolutely, and I think in the Premier League with more scrutiny and like the way the club is now, you can't really do that, and the club's been pulled up for being outspoken, as you know, on social media. So you just warm to people like that, didn't you? Because it mattered, and like you say, the best captain we've had since Stuart Pearce. Or I won't quite go that far because I love Chris Cohen. But he was an absolute hero, and he was a different kind of captain, though. We want that fist pumping type guy when things aren't going well. And I thought it was really interesting in that piece he did for the for Forest, the thank you Joe thing, where he said he loved it on a Tuesday night when it was drizzling and there was 20,000 people in, that kind of thing.
At Stoke City. that was a dig.
I think that's proper. That's the Forest we know over the last 20 years, isn't it? Look, I'm not going to get into a rant about modern day supporters and people who've jumped on the bandwagon in the last couple of years and don't go to matches, but that's what we've seen. That's where we've seen Joe do his thing, and it took a lot of hard work to get Forest to the Premier League, and it was a culmination of people like Joe playing well, getting better, learning all the time from 55 different managers, and he saw them all through, all the way up to the Premier League. And obviously Cooper and people like Brendan Johnson bursting on the scene as well. It was the perfect storm to some degree, and I'm just so glad that he was able to captain Forest in the Premier League. I was absolutely gobsmacked after the Chelsea game. After what he'd gone through, and we'd won at Chelsea, and then I know we played Burnley, and him and McKenna didn't have the best of games, I think, straight after.
Did we play him? remember that performance we played against Chelsea? We won 1-0. Great performance as well. One in Man City. Imam McCain got dropped in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But we played
Yeah.
Burnley. I think we played Burnley midweek, and they didn't have the best game. And then I think that might have been the pattern. And then we never really saw him again. And you know, he got a lot of stick again from these fly-by-night football fans who've come to see the Premier League. Got a lot of stick about what he couldn't do. Do you know, some of these signings have been no better. Do you know, some of them have come in and gone out again, and they've been no better than what Joe's been. Yeah, we've got Murillo, who looks like a superstar, and Bolly, who's got years of Premier League experience, you know, and he's found those a tough nut to crack. But he was no worse than some of those that have come in, and I think he's a real asset to Burnley, and I think he'll captain Burnley ultimately. I think he'll be. I think Scott Parker, and the way I've seen like little bits of footage from him managing the team, he likes to sort of have those fighters amongst them, you know, roll the sleeves up, and I think he'll do a really good job. But you know, just glad that he's been Forest captain, and again at Wembley, the pictures with Yatesy, you know, they'll go down in Forest sort of folklore a lot more than some of this stuff now. You know what we're experiencing. That was what we was waiting for all those years, wasn't it? So I wish him all the best, and I think he'll get another promotion because I think Burnley will win the league, and I'd love to see him next season with under a better manager as he is now than Vincent Company was last season. I think Burnley would have a better chance of staying in the Premier League, and I'd love to see him excel at that and prove that he can actually do it, because I think there's a good football. There's one or two flaws. There's always been one or two flaws, you know. But if it could, you can make up a lot for desire and commitment. You know, when you do lack a bit of ability, as we've seen, we've got some of the most technically gifted players in the world, and when they can't be asked, we get beat. It's as simple as that, you know. So yeah, Joe's just been Joe, hasn't he? You know, he's just, and I think that's the best compliment you can pay him. He's just plain Joe to some degree, but don't want to be anything else other than that. Just one of the lads who played for Forest.
100%. Like I said, Joe Wall, like I said, for me, one of the best captains we've had for the last 23 years. And like I said, I think he'll get promoted with Burnley. And I just hope, hopefully, come back to take around, and then we'll give him a good warm welcome back. But like I said, I hope Joe does well. And right, Dad, let's talk about transfers, strikers, because people in the chat as well. Eddie Nketiah, I've done a video for that as well. Who else we after? The Mexican fella.
Jimenez, is it?
That's Jimenez. And people in the chat, right? Who do you want? I did a video like, who do you want, Nketiah or Jimenez? And let me get Des again on this. After thinking about when I did the video, I'm thinking again. I'm more swerving into Eddie Nketiah, because he's got Premier League experience. He knows the league. The Jimenez fella, yeah, he scored goals in the Dutch league, and everyone can score in the Dutch league. But people in the chat as well, get involved. Who do you want up front for Forest? But because the transfer window is next week, so I'm going to do a live stream as well for the transfer talk as well. So, Des, who are you going for? People in the chat, get involved.
Well, the question is between the two, isn't it? You know, and look, I've not had a burning desire for Forest to go and sign Eddie Nketiah, but I think you know a little bit more about what you're getting, and if Nuno feels that's an addition. I've seen a lot of nonsense again this week about, oh, he can't get in Arsenal's team, so why would we have him? Well, because it's Arsenal, you know, and I saw something the other day, someone suggesting that you don't even get in when certain players get in and people play false nines. That's modern football. I don't necessarily think the way modern football is that the Eddie Nketiah type player is utilised as much as people think it is anymore. You know, it's all about, like with us, the big guy up front, you know, and sort of midfielders running on. You see a lot of midfielders scoring 18 goals now rather than strikers scoring 35. So I think it's a different type of player. But what it suggests to me, if we do sign him, you know, and with the service we can get to someone like that, hopefully he can finish enough. We've seen the horror stories at Arsenal. You know, we've seen the misses that it's had, but you always will, because it'll get highlighted. You know, if a player comes on and gets a glaring chance and is not sticking it away, and that's why he doesn't get in. You see glaring misses from Gabriel Jesus as well. You know, he's another one. But again, it's that type of player. But what I feel, if we're spending that kind of money, because we've seen it with Sangare, you know, don't take too many chances, especially with this. Everyone says we're okay with FFP, PSR, but there's also rumours that we're skirting on the edge again. So if we're spending lots of money, we need to be buying players that we know a little bit more about. I went on, you know, I did the typical thing through Flash Score. You mentioned the Jimenez has scored 2 goals for final.
2 goals in 3 minutes. Yeah.
Who does he play for?
Feyenoord.
Yeah. So I went on, and on Flash Live Score, it shows you the highlights like about a couple of hours after the game. So I went on to have a look, and again, this is my only knowledge of the guy, other than the fact he plays in the Dutch league. He's Mexican and he scored a few goals. The goals were scrappy at best. You know, they were clumsy. Again, I'm not criticising the guy. He might be a real talent, and we might be missing one. I think Steve pulled me up when I mentioned him earlier in the week about, oh, well, what about Van Persie and Bergkamp and people like that? Well, like Bergkamp came from a different league. Do you know, let someone else take the chance.
Yeah, into Milan,
Can we be affording to take that chance on these kind of players? I just think the Dutch league is not technically as good as it used to be, you know, and the Premier League's a lot quicker. So for me, and based on what I've said today and many times before, Premier League experience is invaluable, you know, and what we're lacking at times is just that little bit of know how to see games out, what to do at the end of games, and that all comes by having players that have played in the league. And I think if it was a straight choice now, I trust the club in Nketiah. What does worry me a little bit is no one else wants him. You know, he seems to be touted out to all and sundry, and no one else wants him. And as I've mentioned previously on the show, one of the pluses, going back to the positives, is I look at what Smith Rowe did. I know they're different players, and I know Smith Rowe's always been. Sorry, the dog's just doing saying things in front of me with a blanket.
Yeah, Stanley, behave yourself.
Smith Rowe started his season well, and again, it's that little drop these players need sometimes, and it can be that boost in confidence. I wouldn't say, you know, have Forest got the type of player that Eddie Nketiah is? No. Would you take him and take the chance? We know we need a striker. You know, like I say, probably not the first choice, but who's out there realistically?
I know, that's the thing.
Who's out there? We're looking at the players we've been linked with in the summer. Che Adams has gone to Torino. Ben Brereton Diaz has gone to Southampton, but very similar to the 2 we've already got. You know, so he's a little bit different. He's got Premier League experience. He played for Arsenal. He's been coached under Arteta. That's quite a lot of positives to work from. Whereas the other guy, you know, I know nothing about. So for me, Nketiah, not quite. He don't excite us like some signings have.
Dad, let me pull you up on this one, right? Because I see, like I said, everyone's whinging about his wages. He doesn't score much because he plays for Arsenal, as is mentioned. But look at that. Who's Ipswich have brought in? The Chelsea player is a Belgian for 30 million, and he's a player that can't get the Chelsea team, but he costs 30 mil. A few other players like Smith Rowe, he's gone to Fulham for 35 mil. Alan, if you want to, how much was it? 35 mil.
It's the going rate. That's
the point.
We still can't get a head around it. So everyone who's screaming it, I don't like it. You know, I don't like spending £75 on a shirt and £600 on a season ticket. You know, to be able to afford these players. but this is the going rate, isn't it? You know, and I'm not saying all our money goes to that anyway, but you know what I mean. It is the Premier League. I've moaned about how vulgar and horrible it can be at times, but the reality is, if you want to compete, we can't be signing players for 15 million because they don't work, all of them. You know,
Exactly.
even Sangare at 35 million is
Oh, he's
not
mentioned
working.
him. He's mentioned him. He's yeah.
But it's the going rate, isn't it?
Yeah.
And a good friend Kevin Campbell said to us 2 years ago, you'll sign players and they'll like for a lot of money and they'll be a flop. So you mentioned a couple of names there. I touched on Emil Smith Rowe. You signing players from the big clubs and you're signing players from England. You pay a premium. You know,
Mm.
you might get you might sign someone for 4 million from Brazil or 14 million from Serbia and get really lucky. But Premier League players with experience, because of the experience, because people understand how important it is.
Mm.
People who know football, who know the Premier League, understand how important it is to have Premiership experience in your side. So you have to spend a lot of money because it gives you that little edge or that little psychological edge to some degree that you're not taking a chance as such because you
Mm.
should know that player that little bit more.
100%. I'm just going to go through the comments. We're going to see this. Mark said, don't want Nick Nketiah, his wages are too high and he isn't worth 30 million either. This is a topic where I was talking about, like, players in young age as well, who's been playing football and who's in the Premier League. That's the going rate. So, what player, cheap wise, are we going to get that kind of player that we need? Because we can't. But Chris Wood, yes, he scored on his first goal of the season against Bournemouth. Tara Warney, always injured. There isn't a player. If in the people in the chat, name the player that Forest could get who's cheaper than 30 million. Name it now. Okay. Michael says, Griezmann, Eddie's not prolific. He wasn't at Arsenal or Leeds in the Championship. His pace and movement would suit us, but he isn't effective in front of goal. Leeds, he scored 3 goals in 70 appearances, and he went back in January, I think, but he didn't do much. And the only time he played for Arsenal is when Havertz and Juice was injured, and you could say that he didn't score much goals, but he still played.
Didn't he get an hat trick? Didn't he get an hat trick in one game?
He got a hat trick in one game as well. So, and the best thing about it, he can play with his left and right foot as well. So, and him, you can say him and Ketchum with.
But that was my point about the thing about prolific and strikers these days, you know, and I hate the way the game's gone like this because I'd love 4-4-2 and I
So
like it
obviously
when teams use it and it works, you know, because
yeah.
you still see it. You saw it from some of the teams in the Euros, and it's still quite effective when people forget that you don't have to play like Man City. But unless you're Man City, you've got Haaland up front. You know, it's not always your strikers. It's not always about prolific strikers. It's about prolific midfielders. And this is where I feel Forest. This is why I talk about Gibbs White a lot, you know, and Hudson-Odoi and Langren playing off that front foot. Because this is where the top teams look at United. They never play Rashford through the middle, even when they've not got a number 9. They never play him through the middle because it's not about prolific. It should be. They should be your money men. You know, they should be the guys who do it. But the game, I had a big conversation before the game last week with Glenn about this type of play is not necessarily like your striker is not necessarily your main man unless you're Manchester City. Look what Liverpool do with Salah and people like and players. They push them out wide, and Firmino back in the day, and Mane. You know, when they were real world beaters, they wasn't playing through that middle role, and this is where. Again, the game's changing so much, and we have to almost keep up with the times. If he's making those useful runs, if he's doing the things Forest believe he can do, let's not get too strung up on the goal count. Yes, we'd love him to come and score 25 goals, but if it means other people are ticking in the team, you know, and it's effective. This is our strikers are generally like a Shea Adams. You know, we were sought after him for a reason. You know, Chris Wood to some degree. Tyro, he's that battering ram, and yes, he does seem to score a lot of goals when he's in the team. But you start looking around the lower half of the Premier League, who is prolific? Do you know,
Yeah.
who is prolific in as a striker. I don't, and it goes back to your point of asking people to name one. You can't.
You
Because
can't.
I'm trying to think of
a chat. Come on, I'm
I'm trying to
struggling.
think of a prolific striker in the
I
bottom
am as
half of
well.
the Premier League. Do you know? Look at Crystal Palace. Their strikers don't score, do they? Ever?
Never.
Do you know? They probably
Oh
get 2
no,
or
to be
3.
fair, there is one. He's scoring goals now. I forgot his name. What's his name? The Crystal Palace striker.
Well, they've got Mateta. They've
What's
got.
the Mateta? He's scoring
Yeah, but
goals.
he don't score. He don't score
Yeah, he's scoring goals.
25 goals.
No,
Do you
but
know the
he's scored
days
goals.
of strikers and in the bottom half of the Premier League scoring 25 goals are long gone because
Mm,
it just don't happen. The top strikers, Erling Haaland scores 40, then it's all midfielders.
yeah.
Bruno Fernandes, Phil Foden, 18 goals, that kind of thing. In bottom half of the league, your strikers are. I thought Chris Wood was brilliant last season to get, what did he get, 12, 15?
15 goals.
And that's where the game's changed. So I get the guy's point, because I'm not on the edge of my seat at this signing. I just
Mm,
feel that strikers have changed a lot, and if they feel they can bring something to the team, again, for me, through Premier League experience and making the right kind of runs and bringing Gibbs White into the game and making the wingers more effective, then that's why I'd kind of go that way.
Because to go through more comments before we do leave. Mark says, it's not working. Mark says Nikita and Marcus White should be a good partnership. Yeah, because they're both young and same age as well. Why is this not working? Mark says Arsenal has had our pants down for a few years now. That is true.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah, Turner, Tavares. Who else have we got from Arsenal?
Well, the worry I have got with Nketiah, Dore, and I totally agree with Mark on that. Is Forest have got this obsession with buying from the big clubs, haven't they? It's not always the best way to go, and I did say my biggest concern in Nketiah is that because we're in a big football community group, aren't we?
Yeah.
And we see every day that he will link with someone else. He will link with someone else. He will link with someone else, and then he will link with Forest, and all of a sudden the deal's getting made, and you think, "Oh my god!"
Oh god, I'm not lying.
Easy duds.
I got a few Arsenal friends. Shout out to Marcus and Claude. I was like, they hate Eddie. Said Ben, Ben, have you signed him yet? Have you signed him yet? Have you signed him yet? Look,
but on the flip side of that, nobody wanted Chris Wood either, did they?
Exactly.
And I held my hands up. I didn't want Chris Wood. I thought we were getting a dud there, and for a little bit, it appeared that way. And look at the job he's done now. Look at the effectiveness. He's not a world beater, Chris Wood, and I think he'd be the first to admit that. His game is of a type, but he's effective, and that's what it's about, isn't it? It's about being really effective as a striker these days, as opposed to being the man who carried you if you scored 25 goals.
Exactly. Right, we'll go through all the comments. There's loads of comments there. About this one. Why is it not working again? Dan, Nikita is all-time record England on 21 goal scorer from. Well, that's positive. Bamba says Nikita next level. Alan, we had both last season, not worth 30 million. Smithrow was 27 up front, then 7 million add-ons. I said again, that's the going rate for it as well. So I don't know. Are you happy with that deal? Yes or no? Pogba says last season file and got England called up, and Arsenal dropped him. Was that Smith Rowe? I don't know if that's Smith Rowe you're talking about. Look at the prices quoted for Gahey and Braithwaite. Yeah, 75 million for a player. Trying from Braithwaite here, 75. They wanted 75 million. Mueller's better than him.
Can I just make a comment on Gahey? I don't know what people are seeing.
I like him. Oh, come on.
No, he's not a bad player, but I think people are getting a little bit carried away by one performance in the Euros. Right? I get Braithwaite, but Gahey, I'm not seeing it.
I don't get Braithwaite. I don't.
Gahey made another mistake the other night. Well, he didn't make a mistake, but he could have defended it better. In the what game was it? I can't remember who they played now.
Brentford,
yeah. Because
Yeah.
I thought Crystal Palace absolutely battered Brentford, and Brentford come away with a win. But I don't think he did. He covered himself in glory, and I'm not getting this clamour. It's because of the game changing again, and centre backs like strikers are completely different to what they used to be.
Guys, one focus 10 guy wage nowhere near. They're on 20k a week though. Michael says Maleko from Dortmund and Victor Roko from Barcelona are viable and fit and profile. We have to be going for them. I know we was linked with Maleko from Dortmund. He was going to Betis, but that's been called off. I think we was linked with him. I seen it on social media. We was linked with him. It wasn't it was like just little chat. If you want to do football, little chat. But I've not seen him play of any footballer. Also, I can't comment on if he's good or bad. So, people, if you have, is he good enough for us? Another player, Mocha Eddie will shoot 4-4-2. What I just mentioned. Yeah, Macho, that's him. That's him. Slanky 18, Watkins 20, Wood 14 in 20 starts. Yeah, see again. That's not bad.
And that shows how effective he was.
Exactly. Mockin Jenkins as well. He was a flop. He was a.
They really have sold us some duds, haven't they?
Yeah, Arsenal, stop saying this duds, man. That's thanks, Mark. Jenkins, the best. Was it Swansea?
Have we ever had a good one from them?
People did come out. Ian Wright. No, he didn't come. He didn't come from Arsenal, did he? He didn't come from Arsenal, did he?
No, he come from West Ham, didn't he?
Come from West Ham. Who else? People
we got David Platt.
Oh, thanks,
Des. Gave him a player manager job when he was a player.
Thanks, Des. Again, we're trying to ruin my day. No, Nicola got called for England. Got called up to start last.
He played for England to start last season.
Guys, are we stupid? What player did we sign from Arsenal? We're not mentioning him. He's in the chat. We're dumb. We're so dumb.
I'm gonna kick myself, aren't I? Do you know what? For as much as
how can we forget the man?
But for as much as we love him, you know, he found it tough at the start, didn't he?
How can we forget the man himself, Kevin Campbell?
Had loads of conversations about how tough it was at the start for him.
Oh, well, Kevin Campbell, the legend, man. Those interviews me and Des did. God bless Kevin Campbell. Super Kev, like I said, Super Kev. How can we forget Kev? Of all players that we forgot about, he was successful for his Superman. So
proves his life.
Yeah. Did you buy Harry Arthur? Yeah, Alan, don't start by Harry Arthur. Don't start by Harry Arthur. Alan, don't I want my Forest top as well. Last one as well. Mark, I watched a bit about Dortmund. Lukovic looked good, but isn't very clinical. But could be the lack of experience. He is young. Like I said, I've not watched him. I might go through YouTube and see if he's any good. Before we do go, please do hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and like to comment below if you are rewatching this and the topics that we spoke about. Get the comments now. There's, like I said, the transfer window ends next week. How many players do you think? And as well, people in the chat, get involved. How many players do we need to get?
I'm not sure we need too many. I keep saying to you, I think we've got the real nucleus of a good side. It's more about the way we play and being effective and cutting out the mistakes, you know, getting Premier League savvy. I think there's definitely areas where we could improve. I'd like to see. I'm not against Matt Sells, but I'd like to see a top goalkeeper. Do you know, when we were linked with him, I'd snatch your hand off. I'd take him from Arsenal. Although he'd probably be good as well, wouldn't he? He'd probably be throwing him in the net. But no, I when I saw that excites me because I think he's a top goalkeeper. I think, again, just what he does with his feet is not good enough for Arsenal, but for anyone else, it'd be more than enough. So definitely love that. I think we're getting to a point now with the mind we've let go where we're a centre back short. You know, I think I'm a massive fan of Bolly. Murillo is Murillo. Obadidele's done well when he's come in, but I think we're probably one short there. And if you're getting one, Oh well, we've got the Serb guy, haven't we? So we haven't
Yeah,
seen
guys,
him yet.
right. We're trying to make this quick. Who would you bring in him against Southampton or stick with Bolly? People in the chat as well. Who would you bring Milenkovic in for Bolly or keep Bolly in?
I said after the show last week, I don't know enough about the Serb. I've not seen him play yet to know he's good enough for the Premier League. So based on Bolly's performance, if he does change it, I'd have no arguments, because he obviously believes that Murillo and I can't think of his name, the Serb, is good enough.
Milenkovic.
He's good enough. He obviously they've paid 12 million, which is not that much as we've established, but they've paid some money for him. And if he believes he's his first choice with Murillo, then I'd have absolutely no problems. But Bolly is definitely like I would have no problems if he's not dropped, because he's never ever let Forest down, in my opinion. I just think he's solid. He's a defender. He's a proper defender. So that guy there is going to Arsenal, isn't he? So I don't think we've got any chance of getting him.
Why not? He played for Conch, didn't it? And
yeah, we were linked with him for about 1.5 million about 4 years ago. But going back to the signings, I think a goalkeeper we could potentially improve on. Maybe a centre back short if we get injuries. My opinions on number 6. I think we need that proper player in there. I would have, as Ipswich have signed him, I would have gone for Kelvin Phillips. Even though he didn't work out that well at West Ham, we know there's some real ability in there. And then, and again, we've got to see what comes out of these new players. I don't even know which new players are going to play for Forest. This Sosa looks like a big talent, doesn't he? And if he's the winger, I felt we're one short on the wing on either side, because I think Elanga's more of an impact player. If he's a potential first team player. So all the way through the core of the team, I'd have one goalkeeper, one perhaps reserve centre back, not so much a big signing. I'd have a world class number 6 or somebody who's going to improve the side, and then a striker, and hopefully Sosa gives an option on the wing. So perhaps 4 players short, but I don't think we're that short overall, if you know what I mean. I just think if we're signing those players, you've got to sign better than what we've already got, and that are going to walk into the team almost, because otherwise there's no point. You're getting your fingers burnt for potentially players that aren't going to cut the mustard.
I think I was listening to Forrest Ferguson and listened to Dan Fletcher, and he was saying that when we brought in Mick his way, he was like an impact player that we needed, and we need that number 10. And I think we need that player that can just give that bit of oomph a little bit, because we're in the 3rd season now, and I feel that we need. Like I said,
I totally agree. I just said 4 positions there where I feel we could really improve, but I'd sacrifice all of them for one. And perhaps even Aaron Ramsdale, I know people are getting upset about Nketiah's wages. It's not really our business, is it? And wages and admin.
If he keeps us up, Des, everyone will be happy.
Aaron Ramsdale would be that statement signing like Gibbs White. Yes, I'd like a real statement striker signing. Who is going to come into the team and really add something, because that would help other areas of the team. I'd like that statement number 6. We thought we had it last year. But I totally agree with what you just said there. I think we've been here a couple of years now. Gibbs White, to keep pressing forward, to keep Gibbs White sort of on song and never risk losing him. Because, again, if we just keep finishing 17, people are just going to keep coming and picking our best players. And there's already rumours that he's linked away next season and things like that anyway. So I think, that's absolutely the thing. We need that statement. We're all a bit unconvinced by Eddie Nketiah, aren't we? But if he came and he started banging them in, it's a different story. Because look at Hudson-Odoi. Yes, we didn't spend 30 million on him, but look how much he's come on by showing a bit of consistency, which he didn't have at the big club.
100%. Another player, this from Dan Brett Sterling. Bloody hell. He wants to leave. Why not?
Interesting one, isn't it, with him? Because where does he go now? He's played for the big clubs.
I'm thinking, why don't we raise Chelsea? Chelsea trying to get rid of 20 players on them. Why don't we just raise one of them? Why not? Why not? Right, before we go, like I said, the last one before we do go, glad our owner has more ambitious than some of his lot. Yeah, he has. I know he wants to buy cricket. Is it? Who's it? Des? Who does Mount Access wants to buy? Cricket, one of the cricket teams? 2020, is it 2020? I think it is.
Oh, I've not heard that. Is it the 100 thing? Is he in for one of those?
Yeah, the one with the yellow bibs, the yellow tops.
Trent Rockets?
Yeah, he wants to buy the Trent Rockets. He wants to make them red.
I've not heard that.
Yes.
I'll be straight on looking at that.
It was on where was it? He was on I saw it on his video. He wants to buy the Rockets.
They're doing a thing where they're selling 49% of each franchise.
Yeah, that's it. Rockets. That's it. Dan said Rockets. He wants to buy the Rockets. So,
it makes absolute sense with the way he's trying to monopolise sport in Nottingham. You know,
yeah.
which is that's not criticism. It makes absolute sense, but I'd imagine the Trent Rockets would be favourites to win everything if he bought them because there's not much money floating around 100 cricket at the moment.
So yeah, if you don't, Man is trying to buy the Rockets.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
I've not heard that. When did that come out?
That came out an hour ago.
Oh,
came out an hour ago. So yeah, people, if Des not seen the link, send it to his Twitter account if you do follow him. And that's so Des can read it. Right, we'll get going. Thank you for everyone for taking the time for me. Like me and Des, we are going to watch the game. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. My second trip as well. So yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, people, I'll be doing a vlog, but after game review. Des will be doing his before and after video on his social media to make sure everyone follows Des on that. The review
I just wanted to give that a shout out. It's been I've actually had a really positive start with that after getting so much crap for the last couple of seasons. All my abuse now comes from the Derby fans and the way I say Forest, which I don't think I say it particularly wrong, but they love it. But all I ever do is thank them for the views and sharing it amongst their support base as well.
Just leave him alone for a change, Dad. We're not seeing him. We've not spoken to him. We're not even seeing him for the last bloody 3 or 4 years.
But if people could follow it on Twitter and give it a
please do. People follow Des.
I'd really appreciate it. At Des Oldham.
At Des Oldham, giving abuse people.
I don't hide behind an egg or a false name. It's just at Des Oldham.
Or Des. All right. So make sure everyone follows Des as well. But like I said, people, the review show that'll be Sunday. I have to give a time, but I'll tell you tomorrow what time my review show is. Des is on as well. Well, Steve, and we'll get someone else on as well. But yeah, thank you everyone. Bloody hell, what? Hour and 10 minutes. It's been a great show. It's been a great show. I've never done this long. We've made it flow. So please hit the like button if you can. Subscribe if you're new, and any super chats you can. It helps my channel a lot. But yeah, thank you everyone. Make sure you do hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. And don't watch out for the vlogs. Left game review out while I'm at the ground, not behind the computer. So people, thank you everyone for watching this. Peace and love.